The Mafia Alpha found his enemies abandoned Omega, then learned why he'd been hidden away. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, it is free, and it is the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic and emotional stories like this one. Your support truly means the world to us. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where in the world you are watching from and what time it is where you are right now. We love seeing how far these stories travel and knowing who is joining us today. Now, let's begin today's story. If they wanted him forgotten, why had they worked so hard to erase the proof that he ever existed? Vincent Cole stood beneath the covered entrance of an abandoned estate outside Chicago while cold rain swept across the empty driveway. The property had belonged to the Mercer family, his organization's oldest business rival, until 48 hours earlier, when their remaining companies had abruptly collapsed and their senior members disappeared from the city. Vincent had come expecting financial records, abandoned contracts, perhaps evidence explaining why the Mercers had surrendered valuable property without negotiation. He did not expect to find Noah Bennett sitting alone in the estate library beside one suitcase and 3 worn accounting books. Noah looked up when Vincent entered. He was an adult Omega with pale skin, dark brown hair, and an expression that revealed caution without surrender. "You are Vincent Cole," Noah said. Vincent stopped several feet away. Most people became careful around the Mafia Alpha because his reputation reached rooms before he did. Noah sounded as though he were confirming a fact from a ledger. "And you are?" "Someone the Mercers forgot to take with them." Vincent glanced around the nearly empty room. Furniture remained, but family photographs had been removed. Even the shelves showed rectangular patches where boxes had recently disappeared. "People forget umbrellas," Vincent said. "They do not usually forget people." Noah's mouth tightened. Then, abandoned is probably the better word. Vincent noticed the suitcase first, then the accounting books. Each contained handwritten tabs along the edges. "Why were you here?" "Because they kept me here." Vincent's expression hardened. "Against your will?" Noah hesitated. "It was more complicated than a locked door. They controlled my identification, money, transportation, and who knew I existed. Eventually, you stop needing a locked door when every road outside belongs to someone else." Vincent understood the distinction immediately, and he disliked it. "Where are your documents now?" "Gone." "Who took them?" "Probably the same people who removed everything else." Footsteps approached from the hallway. Marcus Hale, Vincent's operations manager, entered carrying a folder. "Vincent, we found something strange. Property records list 12 employees assigned here last year. There is no Noah Bennett." Noah looked away. Marcus lowered his voice. "There is no record of any Omega living here at all." Vincent studied Noah again. The question changed. This was no longer why the Mercers had abandoned him. It was why they had hidden him before abandoning him. "Do you know why they erased you?" Vincent asked. Noah looked at the accounting books beside him. "I know why they stopped letting me leave." Before Vincent could respond, headlights moved across the library windows. A dark sedan had stopped beyond the front gate. Noah went still. "Are those your people?" "No." Vincent reached for his phone rather than a weapon. "Marcus, confirm the plate and call security at the gate." Marcus immediately stepped away. Vincent turned back to Noah. "Who is looking for you?" "I do not know anymore." "That is not an answer." "It is the only honest one I have." Vincent looked toward the suitcase. "You can stay here, leave with us, or walk out that door when the road is clear. Nobody in my organization owns you." Noah stared at him as though the sentence made less sense than a threat would have. "I am your enemy's Omega. You are not anyone's Omega." Something shifted in Noah's expression. Not trust. Not yet. But surprise had opened the smallest crack in the wall between them. "Marcus." Returned moments later. The sedan left when security approached. The plate was registered to a company that dissolved 6 months ago. Noah closed his eyes briefly. Vincent noticed his hand resting protectively over the oldest accounting book. "What is in that?" Noah asked quietly. "If I show you, will you use it against the Mercers?" Vincent considered the question. "I cannot promise what I will do with information I have not seen." Noah nodded once. "Then I cannot show you yet." Marcus looked stunned by the refusal. Vincent was not offended. He was interested. Noah had been isolated, erased, abandoned, and possibly hunted, yet he was still negotiating his own terms. Vincent respected that. "Fair enough," he said. Noah looked surprised again. Vincent turned toward the door, then paused. The choice is still yours. For several seconds, rain was the only sound in the room. Then Noah stood, lifted his suitcase, and gathered the 3 accounting books against his chest. I will come with you. Vincent nodded and walked toward the entrance without touching him or asking for the books. Behind him, Noah followed voluntarily. Neither man knew it yet, but the most dangerous secret left inside the Mercer estate was not hidden in a safe, buried in a contract, or stored on a computer. It was walking out the front door beside Vincent Cole. The drive back to Chicago took less than an hour, but Noah spent most of it watching the rain slide across the passenger window and waiting for Vincent to demand answers. The demand never came. Vincent sat across from him in the spacious rear compartment while Marcus handled several calls from the front seat. Noah kept the accounting books against his chest. You can put those down, Vincent said eventually. I am comfortable. You have been holding them like someone might take them. Noah looked at him. People usually do. Vincent did not answer immediately. Then keep holding them. That simple response unsettled Noah more than pressure would have. When they arrived, he expected a mansion surrounded by intimidating men. Instead, Vincent brought him to a renovated brick building overlooking the Chicago River. The upper floors contained offices and private residences, while the ground level held a restaurant and several legitimate businesses connected to the Cole organization. Everything was controlled, quiet, and surprisingly ordinary. Marcus led them into a private office where 2 senior advisors were waiting. One of them, Daniel Ross, looked at Noah and immediately frowned. You brought a Mercer Omega here? Vincent removed his coat. I brought Noah Bennett here. He could be leverage. He is a person. Daniel glanced at the books. If the Mercers abandoned him, there is probably a reason. Noah felt the old familiar sensation of being discussed while standing in the room. Before Vincent could respond, Noah spoke. There is. Everyone looked at him. But I am not telling you what it is until I understand what you intend to do with me. Daniel gave a humorless laugh. You are standing in Vincent Cole's headquarters and making demands. I am asking whether I am a guest, a prisoner, or an asset. Silence followed. Vincent rested both hands on the desk. None of those descriptions are accurate. Noah frowned. Then what am I? A man who needed somewhere safe enough to make his next decision. Vincent placed a key card on the desk and slid it toward Noah. There is an apartment upstairs. The card opens it, the elevator, and the main entrance. It does not track you. If you want to leave tomorrow, Marcus will arrange transportation anywhere within 200 miles. If you want to leave tonight, we will do the same. Daniel stared at Vincent. You cannot be serious. Vincent looked at him once, and the room became quiet again. Noah picked up the card cautiously. Why? Because I meant what I said. Nobody here owns you. Noah swallowed. The Mercers had called their restrictions protection. They had controlled his money because the outside world was dangerous, controlled his transportation because enemies might recognize him, and controlled his identity because anonymity supposedly kept him safe. Vincent had known him for barely an hour and had already given him more freedom than they had allowed in years. That did not mean Noah trusted him. It meant Noah could finally observe him, without fear deciding everything first. Later, alone in the apartment, Noah opened the oldest accounting book. Thousands of handwritten numbers filled its pages. To anyone else, they looked like ordinary records. Noah saw patterns. Payments from Mercer companies had moved through contractors, charities, property firms, and consulting groups before disappearing into accounts connected to businesses neither family publicly controlled. He had discovered the pattern 3 years earlier. After that, his world had become smaller. A knock sounded at the door. Noah closed the book. Who is it? Vincent. Noah opened the door, but did not invite him inside. Vincent remained in the hallway. Marcus confirmed that the company connected to the sedan has ties to 3 businesses we have never dealt with. Someone knew you were at that estate. Noah tightened his grip on the door. Then I should leave before I become your problem. That is your decision. Vincent paused. But leaving because someone frightened you is not the same as leaving because you are free. Noah stared at him. No Alpha had ever described the difference so clearly. Vincent turned to go. One more thing, Noah said. Vincent stopped. Noah opened the accounting book to a marked page. You asked why they kept me hidden. He pointed to a column of numbers. It started because I noticed this. Vincent studied the page. What am I looking at? Noah met his eyes. Money your family believes the Mercers stole from you. He moved his finger to another column. They did not. Someone else has been taking from both of you. Vincent did not touch the accounting book. He studied the 2 columns Noah had indicated, then looked back at him. Explain it to me. Noah hesitated. He had expected disbelief, perhaps an accusation that he was protecting the Mercers. Instead, Vincent had asked the one question nobody in the Mercer household had asked 3 years earlier. Noah placed the book on the kitchen counter. These payments look unrelated because the amounts are different and the company names keep changing. But the timing repeats. He pointed to several entries. Every time your family and the Mercers had a major business dispute, money moved out of both organizations within 72 hours. Vincent leaned closer without crowding him. Into the same accounts? Not directly. That would be too obvious. Noah turned several pages. The money passes through different companies, but each chain eventually touches one of 4 consulting firms. Vincent recognized one name immediately. Hawthorne Advisory. Noah nodded. Your family used them. So did half the major businesses in Chicago, including the Mercers. Vincent pulled out his phone and called Marcus. Within 20 minutes, the apartment's dining table was covered with legitimate corporate statements, property filings, and archived invoices. Noah expected Vincent's financial team to take over. Instead, Vincent sat across from him and said, "Show us how you see it." Noah stared at him. "You want me to explain? I want everyone in this room to understand." For the next hour, Noah reconstructed the pattern. He showed how payments were divided into ordinary-looking amounts, moved through unrelated contractors, and reunited months later through property investments. Daniel remained skeptical until Noah predicted where one missing payment should appear. Marcus searched the records and found it exactly where Noah said it would be. The room went silent. Daniel finally asked, "How did you notice this?" Noah looked down at the numbers. "Patterns stay in my memory. Once I see enough transactions, I remember how they relate." "You memorized all of this?" "Not every number. The structure." Vincent studied him with an expression Noah could not identify. It was not pity. That alone felt unfamiliar. "Is this why the Mercers kept you isolated?" Vincent asked. Noah slowly nodded. "I found the first pattern when I was helping my father review household accounts. I thought I had discovered an accounting mistake. My father told me never to mention it again. Why? He said some mistakes become dangerous when powerful people profit from them." Noah closed the book. "After he died, the Mercers stopped letting me work outside the estate. They said it was for my protection." Daniel crossed his arms. Or they were protecting themselves. "Maybe." Noah looked directly at him. "But if you assume they are responsible before proving it, you will make the same mistake they made about your family." Vincent's gaze sharpened. "What mistake?" Noah opened another book and pushed it toward him. "They believed you were stealing from them too." Marcus stared at the page. "So both families thought the other side was responsible." "Exactly." Vincent leaned back, suddenly understanding the scale of the possibility. Years of suspicion between 2 powerful families might have been built on information neither had independently verified. "Who benefits?" he asked. Noah's expression changed. For the first time that evening, uncertainty replaced confidence. "That is the part one never solved." Vincent looked around the table. "Then we solve it without assuming the answer." Daniel started to object, but Vincent raised one hand. "Nobody contacts the Mercers. Nobody uses Noah's information against them. We verify everything first." Noah watched him carefully. Vincent possessed enough influence to turn Noah's discovery into an immediate advantage, yet he had chosen evidence over retaliation. Something inside Noah shifted another inch toward trust. Marcus gathered the records, but Vincent remained behind. "You should get some sleep," he said. Noah almost smiled. "You just learned someone may have been manipulating your family for years, and you are telling me to sleep? You have been carrying that book like the entire truth depended on you." Vincent stood. "It does not anymore." The word struck Noah harder than Vincent could have known. For 3 years, knowledge had been the reason his world kept shrinking. Now the same knowledge had finally entered a room where someone listened without trying to own it. As Vincent reached the door, Noah spoke quietly. "There is one more thing." Vincent turned. Noah met his eyes. "The last time I found a new company in the pattern, the Mercers removed my name from their private family records the next morning." Vincent's expression became still. Noah continued, "Whatever I discovered, they were not only trying to hide the money, they were trying to hide me from whoever was watching it." By the next afternoon, Vincent's team had verified enough of Noah's pattern to eliminate coincidence. Hawthorne Advisory and the other consulting firms were connected through layers of holding companies, shared legal representatives, and property transactions stretching back almost 12 years. What disturbed Vincent most was not the amount of money. It was the timing. Every major dispute between the Cole and Mercer organizations had created another opportunity for someone outside both families to profit. Noah stood beside the conference table while Marcus displayed the transaction history. "Look at the property purchases," Noah said. 3 buildings were bought within 6 months of disputes that forced Mercer businesses to sell. 2 more were purchased after your family withdrew from development projects. Vincent followed the sequence. Someone was benefiting whenever either side lost confidence in an investment. And they needed both families blaming each other, Noah replied. Daniel frowned. That still does not explain why the Mercers erased you. Noah opened his oldest accounting book. Because I found a name. He turned to a page dated 3 years earlier. Near the bottom was a handwritten note from Noah's father. M. Voss approved revised transfer structure. Vincent became completely still. Malcolm Voss. Noah nodded. Malcolm had advised major Chicago businesses for decades. He had attended charity dinners with the Coles, negotiated contracts for Mercer companies, and built his reputation by appearing neutral whenever powerful families disagreed. My father wrote that note 6 days before he told me to stop asking questions, Noah said. Marcus searched their internal records. His expression changed. Voss consulted for us during the Harbor Point dispute. Daniel looked toward Vincent. The Mercers were on the other side. Noah shook his head. That is what both sides believe. He placed 2 transaction summaries together. But Voss received consulting fees from companies connected to both projects. Vincent understood the implication immediately. Malcolm had not merely profited from rivalry. He had positioned himself where mistrust could be. Encouraged, redirected, and monetized. Why would your father hide you instead of exposing him? Vincent asked. Noah looked at the handwritten note. Maybe because he did not know who else was involved. His voice softened. He changed my identification records first. Then he stopped taking me to family events. After he died, the Mercers continued what he started, but they never explained why. Protection became isolation because nobody trusted me with the truth. Vincent watched Noah close the book. For years, Noah had believed his family considered him inconvenient. Now another possibility existed. His father might have hidden him because Noah had seen something powerful people desperately needed overlooked. They still abandoned you, Vincent said. Noah nodded. Protection does not excuse abandonment. No. Vincent's answer came without hesitation. And understanding why someone failed you does not require pretending they did not fail you. Noah looked at him, visibly affected by the distinction. Daniel interrupted the silence. We have enough to destroy what remains of the Mercer organization. Vincent turned toward him. That is not what this evidence says. It gives us leverage. Noah is not leverage. Daniel glanced toward the Omega. His information is. Vincent's voice became colder. Information he chose to share so we could find the truth, not manufacture a victory. The room fell quiet. Noah had spent years around powerful men who treated every useful thing as something to possess. Vincent had every reason to exploit what Noah knew. Yet he kept refusing the easiest advantage. Noah realized that was what made the Mafia Alpha truly intimidating. Vincent's strength was not simply that he could command a room. It was that he could recognize when winning the wrong way would make him indistinguishable from the people he opposed. Marcus suddenly turned his laptop toward them. There is another connection. A corporate registration appeared on the screen. The dissolved company connected to the sedan outside the Mercer estate had once shared an address with a subsidiary of Hawthorne Advisory. Noah stared at the record. Vincent looked toward him. The mystery had changed again. Whoever had searched for Noah that night had not been working for the Mercers. They had been connected to Malcolm Voss. The connection to Malcolm Voss changed the question from whether Noah had discovered something important to whether someone had spent years making sure he could never explain it. Vincent refused to act on suspicion alone. By morning, Marcus had assembled 12 years of public filings, consulting agreements, property records, and internal Cole statements in a secure conference room. Noah worked through them slowly, reconstructing patterns from memory while Vincent watched without interrupting. Near noon, Daniel entered carrying a proposal. We have enough to pressure the Mercers, he said. Their remaining companies are vulnerable. If we release selected records, we can acquire 3 properties before anyone understands what happened. Noah's hand stopped over a ledger. Vincent did not even look at the proposal. No. Daniel frowned. This is the opportunity we have waited years for. An opportunity created by information Noah trusted us with. Information that could end the rivalry. Vincent finally looked at him. By turning Noah into the instrument that destroys the family he came from. Daniel lowered his voice. They abandoned him. That does not give us ownership of his anger. The room became silent. Noah stared at Vincent. The Mercers had always described power as the ability to make other people accept your decisions. Vincent possessed more authority than anyone Noah had ever known, yet he kept defining strength through limits he placed on himself. Daniel gestured toward the records. Then what are we supposed to do? Find the truth. Vincent turned toward Noah. Not the truth that benefits us. The truth that survives verification. Noah felt something unfamiliar settle inside him. Safety had always been described to him as a locked door, restricted movement, and obedience to someone who supposedly knew better. Vincent was showing him another definition. Safety could mean being allowed to speak without surrendering control of what happened next. After Daniel left, Noah returned to the records. You could have taken those properties. Probably. They are worth millions. Probably. Noah looked at him. And that does not bother you? Vincent leaned against the table. Winning something because another man was treated like property would make it difficult to pretend I was better than the people who treated him that way. Noah looked down before Vincent could see how deeply the words affected him. My father used to say intelligence only matters if you know what question to ask. What question should we ask now? Noah considered the transaction maps. Not where the money went. He moved 3 reports together. When did Voss need the families to become angry with each other? Vincent stepped closer. Noah showed him the dates. Each major transfer occurred shortly before a dispute, not afterward. Someone had not merely profited from existing conflict. Someone had prepared financially before the conflict began. Marcus returned and confirmed another detail. In 4 separate cases, Voss-controlled firms had purchased options on distressed properties weeks before Cole and Mercer negotiations collapsed. Vincent's expression hardened with understanding. He knew the disputes were coming. Noah shook his head. Maybe he did more than know. They searched correspondence from the Harbor Point project and discovered separate recommendations sent to both families by consultants connected to Voss. Each message had encouraged the recipient to interpret the other family's actions as hostile. Noah stared at the evidence. He was feeding both sides different versions of the same story. Vincent nodded. And collecting money when we believed him. For the first time, Noah understood why his father had been afraid. The secret was not simply financial theft. Malcolm Voss had built a business model around inherited hatred. Vincent looked at Noah, but there was no triumph in his face. This is bigger than the Mercers. Noah met his eyes. And bigger than your family. Then neither family gets to control what happens next. Noah slowly smiled. It was the first time Vincent had seen him do it without hesitation. You really are terrible at being the kind of Mafia Alpha everyone warned me about. Vincent raised an eyebrow. I will try to recover from the insult. Noah's smile widened, and something warm passed between them before Marcus quietly cleared his throat. He had found one final document. Malcolm Voss had scheduled a private financial conference in Chicago 3 days from now, and representatives from several companies connected to both families would be attending. Noah looked at Vincent. They no longer needed to chase the hidden system through old records. In 3 days, the people who had profited from keeping 2 families divided would gather in the same room. For the next 2 days, Noah and Vincent prepared without contacting the Mercers or anyone connected to Malcolm Voss. Marcus verified corporate records through public filings while Noah reconstructed the sequence of transactions that had preceded each major dispute. By the morning of the conference, they had something more valuable than suspicion. They had a pattern that could be independently proven. Vincent stood beside the conference room windows overlooking downtown Chicago while Noah reviewed the final timeline. You do not have to attend, Vincent said. Noah looked up. You have told me that 4 times. Because I want you to know the choice remains yours. And I have chosen 4 times. Vincent nodded. Then I will stop asking. Noah closed the folder. That might be your greatest achievement this week. A faint smile appeared on Vincent's face. The ease between them had grown quietly. built through late evenings over financial records, cups of coffee left beside tired hands, and conversations where neither man demanded more than the other was willing to give. Noah had expected attraction to a powerful alpha to feel like surrender. Instead, what drew him toward Vincent was the strange freedom of never being required to surrender anything. That afternoon, the private financial conference began inside a downtown hotel. Vincent attended as the head of the coal organization. Noah entered separately as an independent financial analyst. That distinction had been Noah's idea, and Vincent had accepted it immediately. Malcolm Voss was already there. He was an elegant man in his 60s whose calm smile suggested decades of confidence that nobody would ever compare the right documents. When he saw Noah, that smile disappeared for less than a second. Noah noticed. So did Vincent. "Mr. Bennett," Malcolm said, "I believed you were living with the Mercers." "That is interesting," Noah replied. "Most people did not know I existed." Malcolm recovered quickly. "Your father mentioned you years ago." Noah placed a folder on the table. "Then perhaps you remember him better than you remember these companies." He presented for consulting firms and asked Malcolm to explain their relationship. Malcolm described them as independent contractors. Noah then showed overlapping addresses, shared representatives, synchronized transfers, and property options purchased before major coal-Mercer disputes. Malcolm dismissed the pattern as coincidence. Vincent remained silent. This was Noah's evidence and Noah's argument. "Coincidence happens once," Noah said. "Maybe twice. It does not repeat across 12 years with the same financial beneficiaries." Several executives began examining the documents. Malcolm turned toward Vincent. "You are allowing an Omega from your enemy's household to accuse respected firms based on handwritten notebooks?" Vincent's expression remained calm. "His status has nothing to do with whether the numbers are correct." Malcolm tried another direction. "The Mercers abandoned him. That should tell you how reliable he is." Noah felt the old shame rise, but Vincent still did not speak for him. He trusted Noah to answer. "They abandoned me because they were afraid," Noah said. "But they hid me years earlier because my father discovered what you were doing." Malcolm's confidence finally slipped. Noah opened his father's notebook and placed the dated entry beside verified corporate records. Marcus then distributed independent filings confirming the transfers. One by one, representatives around the table realized that both families had been receiving manipulated information through companies linked to Malcolm's network. Nobody needed threats. Nobody needed force. The numbers were enough. Malcolm stood. "You cannot prove intent." Noah looked at him steadily. "Not yet." Vincent finally spoke. "Which is why these records are going to independent auditors and legal counsel instead of becoming ammunition in another family dispute." Malcolm stared at him. That decision destroyed the strategy he had relied on for years. He had survived by making powerful men angry enough to act before verifying anything. Vincent refused to give him that advantage. As the meeting ended, Noah stepped into the hallway and released a long breath. Vincent joined him, but kept a respectful distance. "You were extraordinary in there." Noah looked at him. "Because I remembered the numbers?" "Because he tried to define you by who abandoned you, and you refused to let him." Noah felt something warm settle beneath his ribs. "You could have taken control of that room. It was already under control." "Because of me?" Vincent met his eyes. "Because the truth did not need me to make it stronger." For years, Noah had been hidden because powerful people feared what he knew. Standing beside the most powerful alpha he had ever met, Noah finally understood the difference between being protected and being respected. Then Marcus approached with unexpected news. Two former Mercer executives had contacted him after the conference. They wanted to speak with Noah directly. More importantly, they claimed Noah's father had left behind a letter explaining exactly why his son had been erased from the family records. The letter from Noah's father had been sealed inside a private records box for 3 years, waiting for a moment nobody had expected would come. The following morning, two former Mercer executives arrived at Vincent's office carrying the original envelope and documentation confirming its custody. Vincent offered Noah the conference room, then stopped at the doorway. "Do you want me here?" Noah looked at the envelope. Months ago, the answer would have depended on what someone else considered appropriate. Now it belonged entirely to him. "Yes." Vincent entered and sat beside him, close enough to offer support, but without reaching for the letter. Noah opened it himself. His father's words finally explained the years that had never made sense. He had discovered that Malcolm's network was monitoring internal financial inquiries. When Noah began identifying the same patterns independently, his father feared that Noah would become visible to people who understood exactly how dangerous his memory could be to their operation. He removed Noah from public family records, restricted references to him, and created a separate financial account intended to give Noah independence once the investigation was complete. But his father died before he could finish what he had started. The relatives who inherited the secret preserved the concealment without understanding its purpose. Fear turned protection into control, and control eventually became abandonment. Noah lowered the letter. "He was trying to save me." Vincent answered carefully. "He was trying to protect you." Noah understood the distinction. "And some of his choices still hurt me." Both things can be true. For a long moment, Noah said nothing. He did not need to turn his father into either a hero or a villain. Love could exist beside mistakes. Good intentions could still take away someone's freedom. That realization loosened something inside him that anger alone never had. Later that afternoon, another problem appeared. Rumors had spread through Chicago's business circles claiming Vincent had taken possession of the Mercers' abandoned Omega and was using him to seize their remaining assets. Daniel suggested a simple solution. Announce that Noah is under Cole protection. Better yet, establish publicly that he belongs with you. Nobody will question his position. Vincent's expression became unreadable. Noah waited. Part of him feared how much he wanted Vincent to reject the suggestion for the right reason. "No," Vincent said. "Noah does not need my name attached to him to make him legitimate." Daniel sighed. "People are already assuming there is something between you." Vincent looked toward Noah before answering. "What exists between Noah and me belongs to Noah and me. It is not a public relations strategy." Noah's heart beat faster, not because Vincent had claimed him, but because he had refused to. Vincent arranged a brief public statement instead. He identified Noah as an independent financial analyst cooperating voluntarily with an audit into several interconnected companies. He made no reference to ownership, mating, protection, or romantic status. When reporters asked whether Noah belonged to the Cole organization, Vincent answered, "Mr. Bennett belongs to himself." That sentence traveled farther than either man expected. That evening, Noah found Vincent alone on the rooftop terrace above the river. Chicago glittered around them, reflected in dark water below. "You could have ended those rumors easily," Noah said. "At your expense. You knew what people would assume." "Yes." Noah stepped closer. "And you still refused." Vincent looked at him. "I spent most of my life learning how to make people obey me. You made me realize there are moments when the strongest decision is leaving another person completely free." Noah smiled softly. "That is inconvenient." "Why?" "Because I was trying very hard not to fall in love with you." Vincent became still. Noah had never seen the powerful Alpha look genuinely uncertain before. "Trying?" Vincent asked. Past tense. The silence between them changed. Vincent did not reach for him. He waited. Noah closed the remaining distance himself and took Vincent's hand. "I spent years being hidden because other people decided what was safest for me," Noah said. "I do not want anyone deciding what I feel either." Vincent's fingers gently closed around his. "Then tell me." Noah met his eyes. "I choose this. I choose you." Vincent's expression softened, but his answer carried the same restraint that had earned Noah's trust. "Then I choose you too." For the first time in Noah's life, love did not feel like another door closing around him. It felt like standing beneath an open sky with every road still available and choosing, freely, which one he wanted to walk. By the following week, the investigation had grown beyond the private rivalry between the Cole and Mercer families. Independent auditors confirmed that Malcolm Voss had used interconnected consulting firms to redirect money, manipulate negotiations, and acquire distressed assets after deliberately encouraging mistrust. Between powerful organizations, the evidence was strong enough that several business partners withdrew from his network, financial institutions suspended questionable transactions, and attorneys began formal proceedings to determine responsibility. Vincent could have treated the collapse as a victory. Instead, he invited representatives from both families and affected companies to a neutral conference room overlooking downtown Chicago. Noah entered carrying no old accounting books this time. Everything he needed had been independently verified. Malcolm was not present, but his attorneys had submitted statements denying deliberate manipulation. Daniel quietly asked Vincent, "Who is presenting our position?" Vincent looked toward Noah. "We do not have a position. We have evidence." Noah understood immediately. This was not going to become another room where powerful men competed to control the story. When the meeting began, Noah stood before executives who once would have known him only as an Omega attached to the Mercer household. For years, both families believed the other side was responsible for losses that seemed too consistent to be accidental, he said. That belief became more important than verification. Once suspicion became tradition, nobody needed to prove anything anymore. He displayed the transaction timeline. Every major dispute appeared beside transfers, consulting recommendations, and property options linked to Malcolm's network. Noah explained the structure calmly, never exaggerating what the records proved. When one Mercer representative accused the Coles of exploiting the investigation, Noah corrected him. When Daniel suggested that the Mercers had ignored obvious warning signs, Noah corrected him too. "If we use the truth only to decide who deserves humiliation," Noah said, "then we have learned nothing from it." The room became quiet. Vincent watched from his seat without interrupting. Noah continued, "My father discovered part of this system and tried to protect me by making me invisible. After he died, people continued hiding me because fear had become easier than explanation. I understand why it happened now, but understanding does not make it right. Protection without choice eventually becomes control." Several people lowered their eyes. Noah looked toward both sides of the table. The same principle applies to families, companies, and relationships. When we decide someone else cannot be trusted with the truth, we begin making choices for them. Eventually, we forget that they were supposed to have choices at all. The meeting ended with an agreement neither family would have considered months earlier. Independent auditors would continue reviewing the disputed transactions. Affected assets would remain untouched until ownership could be verified, and both sides would suspend retaliatory business actions. It was not reconciliation. It was something more realistic. The first decision not dictated by inherited hostility. Outside the conference room, Vincent joined Noah near the elevators. "You changed the entire conversation," he said. Noah shook his head. "The evidence changed it." Vincent smiled. "You sound like me now. That is concerning." Vincent laughed, and Noah realized how different that sound had become to him. Once, Vincent's presence had represented everything Noah feared about powerful alphas. Now Noah understood that authority did not determine character. Choices did. Marcus approached with another document. The auditors found the account Noah's father created. Noah stared at him. "The Independence account." Marcus nodded. "It was never closed. With accumulated investments, it is substantial." Noah looked at Vincent instinctively, then caught himself. Months of conditioning had taught him to search powerful faces for permission before making decisions about his own life. Vincent noticed the hesitation, but said nothing. Noah smiled. "I suppose I should decide what to do with it." "You should," Vincent replied. "Any suggestions?" "None unless you ask." Noah laughed softly. "You really are committed to this?" "Unfortunately, yes." Noah looked through the windows toward the city. The money could buy him security, but he wanted it to create something larger than security. "I want to build an independent auditing office," he said, "for small businesses and people who cannot afford teams. Like yours. Somewhere they can bring records when something feels wrong and actually be heard." Vincent's expression filled with unmistakable pride. "That sounds like you." Noah looked at him. "Not the abandoned Omega?" "Never." "Not the Mercer Omega?" "No." Vincent stepped closer, but waited until Noah reached for his hand. Just Noah. For most of his life, Noah had believed becoming visible would make him vulnerable. Standing there beside Vincent, with his own money, his own work, and his own future finally taking shape, he discovered the opposite. Being seen without being owned was the freedom he had been searching for all along. 3 months later, Noah stood beneath a modest blue sign in downtown Chicago that read Bennett Independent Auditing. The office occupied the second floor of a renovated building, with enough room for 6 employees, 2 consultation rooms, and shelves already filling with records from small businesses that had never been able to afford major financial advisors. Noah had used part of the account his father left him to establish the firm, but he had refused Vincent's offer to invest. Vincent had accepted that answer without argument. That mattered more to Noah than the money ever could. The investigation into Malcolm Voss had continued through independent auditors and legal channels. Several manipulated transactions had been reversed, disputed properties were being reviewed, and both the Cole and Mercer organizations had begun replacing the informal arrangements that allowed one advisor to influence so many decisions without oversight. Malcolm's network had not collapsed because one powerful alpha defeated him. It collapsed because enough people finally compared the same facts. Vincent changed too. He separated more of the Cole family's legitimate businesses from the old structures built around secrecy and personal loyalty, introducing independent oversight where unquestioned authority had once been considered strength. Some longtime associates resisted. Vincent listened, made his decisions, and continued anyway. Noah never asked him to become a different man. Vincent simply decided what kind of powerful man he wanted to be. On the evening Noah's office officially opened, Vincent arrived after everyone else had left. He wore a dark coat over his suit and carried a small paper bag. Noah looked inside and found 2 sandwiches from the restaurant downstairs. "This is your grand opening gift." Noah asked. "You skipped dinner." "That is not an answer. It is the gift you need." Noah laughed and locked the office door behind him. They ate beside the front windows while Chicago traffic moved below. There were no bodyguards inside, no advisors waiting for instructions, and no family representatives measuring what their relationship might mean. For an hour, they were simply 2 men sharing dinner after work. "I received an offer today," Noah said. Vincent looked up. "From whom?" "A national accounting firm. They want me to lead a forensic review division in New York." Vincent became quiet. Noah recognized the instinct behind that silence. The Mafia Alpha who could command rooms, redirect companies, and make powerful people reconsider their decisions had just been handed a choice that frightened him. "That is an extraordinary opportunity," Vincent said. Noah watched him carefully. "You are not going to ask me to stay?" Vincent's expression softened. "Do you want me to?" "Part of me does. Then part of me wants to ask." Vincent paused. "But the decision still has to be yours." Noah smiled. Months earlier, he might have needed that answer as proof. Now he already knew who Vincent was. "I declined the offer." Vincent blinked. "Because of me?" "No." Noah enjoyed the brief confusion on his face. "I declined because I built something here that matters to me. They offered me a prestigious position inside their system. I want to build my own." Vincent nodded slowly, pride replacing surprise. "That sounds like you." "There is another reason I am staying." Vincent waited. Noah reached across the table and took his hand. "That reason is you. But there is a difference between choosing my life around someone and having someone choose my life for me." Vincent closed his fingers around Noah's. "I understand. I know." That was why Noah loved him. Not because Vincent had found him when everyone else had left him behind. Not because he was an alpha. Not because he commanded respect across Chicago. And not because his power could make problems disappear. Noah loved him because Vincent had possessed countless opportunities to decide for him and had repeatedly chosen not to. Vincent looked around the small office. "Do you remember the first night we met? I remember thinking you were going to steal my accounting books. I remember wondering why anyone would abandon someone while working so hard to erase evidence that he existed." Noah looked through the glass at his own name on the office door. "Now you know." "I do." Noah shook his head. "No. You know why they hid me. That is different from knowing who I am." Vincent smiled. "Then tell me who you are." Noah considered the question. Once, every answer would have begun with someone else. Mercer Omega. Abandoned Omega. Hidden Omega. Enemies Omega. Even being called Vincent's Omega would have placed another man's identity before his own. "I am Noah Bennett," he said. "I am an auditor. I am stubborn. I apparently forget to eat when I am working. I love a very intimidating man who brings sandwiches instead of flowers." Vincent raised an eyebrow. Flowers would have been easier. The sandwiches were better. They laughed, and the last weight of the past seemed to leave the room. Noah had spent years believing freedom meant escaping the people powerful enough to control him. Vincent had taught him something more difficult and more beautiful. Freedom was being loved by someone powerful enough to hold on and honorable enough to open his hand. Noah had once walked out of an abandoned house carrying everything he owned in one suitcase and 3 accounting books. Now he had work that belonged to him, a future he had designed, and a man beside him who never confused love with possession. Vincent had found an Omega everyone else had left behind, but he had never rescued Noah by claiming him. He had simply given Noah enough room to rescue himself, then stood beside him when Noah freely chose to stay.